Let me start by asking you something most people don't think about when it comes to living longer. What if the secret to feeling better, aging slower, and thinking clearer wasn't in a pill, a surgery, or a complicated diet, but in how you end your meal? I'm not talking about dessert. I'm talking about knowing when to stop eating. It may sound simple, but this one quiet habit has helped the elders of Japan live longer, stronger, and sharper than almost anyone else on earth. Welcome to Elderly Reflections, the channel where we turn real senior wisdom into habits that can change your life after 60. If you believe that growing older is about getting smarter, not weaker, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? I love seeing how far this family of strength and experience reaches around the world. Now back to the question of how we eat. Or more specifically, when we stop. Let's look at Japan. Japanese people have the longest average life expectancy of any country in the world. In Okinawa, a small island in southern Japan, there are more centenarians, people over 100, per capita than almost anywhere else. And they're not just alive. They're thriving. They walk, garden, play, cook, laugh, and live independently well into their 90s and beyond. What's their secret? It's not a supplement. It's not a rare herb. It's a quiet phrase they've been practicing for centuries. Hara Hachibu. In Okinawan culture, elders say this phrase before each meal. It means, eat until you're 80% full. Let that sink in for a moment. Not clean your plate. Not eat until you're full. Definitely not treat yourself, you deserve it. Just stop when you're about 80% satisfied. And what sounds like a gentle, cultural saying is now being proven, by Harvard, by Stanford, by doctors across Europe and the US, to be one of the most effective longevity tools ever discovered. Let me tell you why. After age 60, your metabolism changes. Your digestion slows. Your blood sugar regulation weakens. Your cells become more sensitive to inflammation. And overeating, even just a little, can quietly speed up aging. Hara Hachibu changes all that. Because stopping before you're full gives your body less to process, more time to heal, and fewer spikes in insulin and blood pressure. It protects your gut, your joints, your heart, your brain. Let me bring in a story that brings this to life. Henry, 79, from Boston, was struggling with prediabetes. He wasn't overweight by much. He wasn't eating junk food. But his doctor told him his blood sugar and blood pressure were creeping up. He felt heavy, even when he didn't eat much. One day, he heard about Hara Hachibu and thought, I'll try it. Just once. He started eating more slowly. Used smaller plates. Stopped halfway through the meal to check in with himself. And he gave himself permission to leave food behind. That was it. 3 months later, his fasting glucose dropped 15 points. His weight dropped 10 pounds. His energy returned. And he told me, it's like my body finally forgave me. He didn't diet. He didn't fast. He didn't track anything. He just listened. And that's the quiet genius of Hara Hachibu. Because when you stop eating just a little earlier, your body gets exactly what it needs, not more, not less. Let's break down the science for a moment. A 2021 study published in Nature Aging found that seniors, who reduced daily calorie intake by just 10 to 15%, experienced biological age reversal. That means their cells began to behave younger. Their inflammation markers dropped. Their cholesterol improved. Their cognitive function rose. And guess what? The best way to get that 10 to 15% reduction isn't through dieting. It's through this simple habit. Stop eating before you're full. Why it works? You avoid overstimulating insulin. You reduce digestive stress. You improve hormonal balance. You give your gut time to do its job without backup. And here's another big win. It protects your brain. Researchers from the University of Tokyo studied over 1,000 seniors and found that those who practiced hara hachibu, or similar mindful eating habits, scored significantly better on memory tests and decision-making tasks. Why? Because mindful eating strengthens the communication between your gut and your brain. When you eat fast, distracted, or until you're stuffed, you disrupt that connection. But when you eat slowly and stop at enough, your body and mind stay in sync. Let me tell you about Keiko, 85, from Okinawa. She wakes up every day and makes breakfast: miso soup, rice, steamed greens, a small piece of grilled fish. She eats in silence. She chews. She breathes. And before the plate is empty, she stops. She smiles. She says, "I'm satisfied." Keiko has never taken a cholesterol pill. She walks to the market. She plays with her great-grandchildren. She remembers names, birthdays, and old stories from when she was 5. It's not magic. It's a pause. A boundary. A whisper from the body that says, "Thank you." That's enough. So how can you begin? Here are 3 steps you can try, starting with your very next meal. First, use smaller dishes. Your brain associates a clean plate with satisfaction. Smaller plates make smaller portions feel complete. This alone can help reduce overeating by up to 20%. Second, chew slowly and count your bites. Aim for 15-20 chews per bite. It gives your brain time to register fullness. It also improves digestion and helps you taste your food more. Third, pause at the halfway mark. Put your fork down. Take a breath. Ask, am I still hungry, or just eating out of habit? You might be surprised how often your body says, "I'm good." And one more thing, before your meal, say thank you. In Okinawa, they say itadakimasu, a word that means I humbly receive. It's not about religion. It's about slowing down. Being present. Respecting your body. That shift, from consuming to receiving, transforms a meal into a gift. And that mindset? It stays with you. So I'll ask you this. When was the last time you felt satisfied without feeling full? When was the last time your body ended the meal with more energy instead of less? If you're ready to try hara hachibu, even just for one meal, tell me in the comments, "I'm eating to 80% today." Let this be your quiet start. And if this message touched something in you, if it reminded you that simple habits often hold the deepest wisdom, please like this video, subscribe to Elderly Reflections, and share it with someone you care about. Because growing older doesn't mean giving in. It means choosing better. It means knowing when enough is truly enough. Now that you understand what hara hachibu means and why it works, let's go deeper, because this practice isn't just about food. It's about mindset, discipline, and the quiet power of small decisions made every single day. And as you'll see, adopting this one habit after 60 doesn't just help you live longer, it helps you live better. Let's start with a key truth that Western medicine is only beginning to appreciate. Longevity isn't just about what you eat. It's about how you eat. In Japan, especially in Okinawa, eating is a ritual, not a rush. Mealtime isn't something to get through. It's not background noise while watching TV or scrolling on a phone. It's a moment of connection, with the food, with others, and with the body. And when you eat with that kind of awareness, your body responds with balance. In fact, studies show that seniors who practice hara hachibu often have lower blood pressure, improved cholesterol levels, lower BMI, better blood sugar control, more stable mood and focus throughout the day. Let me tell you about Clara, 76, from Oregon. She used to eat on autopilot, TV on, phone nearby, rushing through meals. She wasn't overeating because she was hungry. She was overeating because she wasn't paying attention. Her doctor told her she was pre-diabetic and needed to make changes, but strict diets overwhelmed her. So she tried one thing. Hara hachibu. No calorie counting. No cutting out her favorite meals. just slowing down and eating to 80% full. She told me. It was awkward at first. I kept asking myself, is this enough? But then I realized I was actually full. I just wasn't used to listening. 3 months later, Clara had more energy, fewer sugar crashes, and had lost nearly 10 pounds without dieting. She said, "For the first time in years, I feel like I'm driving the bus again." That's what Hara Hachi Bu does. It hands the steering wheel back to you. Now let's talk about hormones, specifically insulin and leptin, two of the most important hormones for seniors. Insulin regulates blood sugar. When you constantly eat past fullness, your body produces more insulin to manage the sugar load. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance, the root of type 2 diabetes. Leptin tells your brain when you're full. But overeating regularly can make you resistant to leptin, meaning your brain never gets the "I'm full" signal. You keep eating. You gain weight. You feel sluggish. The good news? Hara Hachi Bu gently resets both of these systems. By eating less, and eating with awareness, you allow your insulin to stabilize and your leptin signals to fire again. It's not just about cutting food. It's about healing how your body listens. Western doctors are catching on. Dr. Walter Longo, one of the world's leading researchers on aging and nutrition, says that eating less, without malnutrition, is the single most powerful way to extend life. He even studied long-living communities, like the Okinawans, and found that their portion sizes, meal timing, and Hara Hachi Bu mindset were consistent across generations. And it's not just physical health that improves. There's a deep emotional and mental shift that happens when you stop overeating. Overeating often comes from emotions, stress, loneliness, boredom. And when you break that habit, when you say, "I've had enough," something clicks in your mind. You feel in control again. You're not eating to fill an emotional hole, you're eating to nourish your life. Let me share something powerful from Kenji, an 82-year-old from Kyoto, who was interviewed for a longevity study. He said, "We stop eating when the body is satisfied, not when the mouth is bored." That wisdom runs deep. And it's something many of us in the West were never taught. We learned clean your plate. We learned bigger is better. But the truth is, less is often more, especially after 70. Because here's what happens when you consistently stop at 80% full, your stomach doesn't stretch unnecessarily. Your digestion improves. You avoid the post-meal crash. You sleep better. Your joints feel lighter. Your blood sugar stays even. Your brain functions with more clarity. It's like flipping the switch from survival mode to thriving mode. Now let's talk about practical challenges. What if you're not the one cooking? What if you're at a buffet? What if you grew up being told, "Finish your plate or it's wasteful"? Here's how to handle it. 1. Reframe what full means. If you grew up believing that fullness means heaviness or tightness in your belly, that's going to feel familiar, but it's not healthy. Teach yourself that lightness can also mean satisfied. 2. Serve yourself less, and go back only if needed. Start with a smaller portion. Half your usual amount. Tell yourself, "If I'm still hungry, I'll get more." Often, by the time you finish, you'll realize you don't need seconds. 3. Wait 5 minutes after eating. Sometimes the signal just needs time. Set a timer. Drink some water. Stand up and stretch. You might be surprised to find you were full after all. 4. Focus on quality, not quantity. Enjoy the flavors. Savor the texture. When your mind is engaged, your body feels fuller with less. 5. Let go of guilt. Wasting food isn't ideal, but overeating isn't the solution. Save leftovers. Store your extra portion. But don't force your body to eat more than it needs just to clear a plate. And finally, remember this: Hara Hachi Bu is not a rule. It's a respectful relationship with your body. One that says, "I trust you to tell me when you've had enough." And that kind of trust? It builds confidence in every other area of your health. So here's what I'd love for you to try. At your next meal, before you serve yourself, or before you take that second helping, pause. Just ask, am I 80% full? You don't have to get it perfect. Just practice listening. With time, you'll start to notice what true satisfaction feels like. And that's when everything starts to change. If you've ever struggled with portion control, emotional eating, or feeling like your body is running on autopilot, tell me in the comments, what's one thing you're willing to try differently this week? Maybe it's using a smaller plate. Maybe it's chewing slower. Maybe it's saying enough before your stomach screams too much. Let's support each other. This community, Elderly Reflections, isn't just about sharing tips. It's about reminding one another that we still have the power to change. Not through force, but through wisdom. If this video has helped you see things in a new way, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next piece of senior health inspiration. Aging is not a decline, it's a deeper understanding. And sometimes, the simplest wisdom, like knowing when to stop eating, can lead to the greatest transformation. Your body is listening. Now it's your turn to listen back. We've talked about what Hara Hachi Bu is. We've looked at how it helps regulate weight, balance hormones, improve digestion, reduce disease risk, and bring calm back to the mind. But now it's time to talk about what really matters. How this small shift in eating can reshape your entire future, especially after 70. Because when we talk about longevity, we're not just talking about years. We're talking about quality. About independence. About dignity. About still being able to walk into a room without fear of falling, or remembering why you went into the room in the first place. It's about the difference between sitting in a chair all day and dancing at your granddaughter's wedding. And that's where Hara Hachi Bu comes in. Because this quiet Japanese principle isn't about control, it's about freedom. The freedom to eat without guilt. The freedom to stop when you feel satisfied. The freedom to age in a way that feels light, not heavy. Let's revisit a story from Okinawa. A woman named Misako, now 101, still walks to the market every morning. Still cooks her own food. Still laughs with friends under a tree in the afternoon sun. When asked her secret, she didn't say supplements. She didn't mention gyms. She didn't even talk about genetics. She said simply, I never eat until I'm full. I eat until I feel alive. That's it. That's the heart of it. She doesn't chase fullness. She chases vitality. Let's talk numbers for a moment, because Western researchers are finally measuring the results. In a long-term study conducted by the National Institute on Aging, adults who practiced a modest 20% daily calorie reduction, without malnutrition, experienced improved cardiovascular health, better cholesterol and triglyceride levels, fewer inflammatory markers in the blood, enhanced cognitive function, and get this, slower cellular aging, confirmed by telomere testing. In simple terms, their bodies aged more slowly. Their brains stayed clearer. And they had more life in their years, not just more years in their life. And the beautiful thing? You don't have to starve yourself to get these benefits. You don't need special diets, complicated charts, or extreme willpower. You just need to stop when you're 80% full. Now let's talk about the ripple effect. When you start eating this way, something fascinating happens. You begin to notice other parts of your life shifting too. You sleep better, because your digestion isn't working overtime at night. You feel lighter in the morning, because you didn't overload your system the night before. You wake up with more energy, more focus. You feel less bloated, less sluggish, less stuck. And emotionally? You feel more in control. There's something deeply empowering about saying, I've had enough. Especially in a world that always says, take more. Want more. Be more. But as we age, wisdom whispers something else. Less, done right, is more than enough. And here's where Harahachi Bu becomes more than a food rule, it becomes a way of life. You start recognizing other areas where you've been pushing too far. Where you've been filling up instead of slowing down. Maybe it's clutter in your home. Maybe it's noise in your schedule. Maybe it's tension you've carried in your shoulders for decades. But when you start giving your body space at the table, you realize you can give yourself space everywhere. And maybe that's the biggest gift of all. So what would it look like to live the next 10, 20, even 30 years, not full of pressure, but full of purpose? What would it look like to wake up feeling light in your body, clear in your mind, steady in your step? I'll tell you what it would look like. It would look like you, aging in peace. Not battling your body. Not trapped by fatigue. Not constantly starting over with strict plans and diet fads. Just you, eating with intention, living with strength, aging with grace. And remember, Harahachi Bu doesn't have to be perfect. Some meals you might stop at 70%. Some days you might go to 90%. It's not about being rigid. It's about building awareness. It's about knowing your body well enough to say, "This is enough. I am enough." And that sentence? That belief? That's where healing begins. So if you're ready to try Harahachi Bu, here's how to start today. At your next meal, serve yourself slightly less than usual. Eat slower than usual. Put your fork down halfway and ask, "Am I still truly hungry, or am I just used to eating more?" If you feel satisfied, stop. Breathe. Smile. Feel the difference. And if you're not sure where 80% is, that's okay. You'll get better at it with time. This isn't a sprint. It's a rhythm. And if someone says, "Aren't you going to finish that?" you can say, "I already did." Because you fed your body, not your habit. You chose life, not just fullness. Let's hear from you in the comments. Are you already practicing mindful eating? Have you tried Harahachi Bu before? What's the hardest part of stopping before you're full? This is your space. And your voice matters. If this video gave you something to think about, hit that like button. It helps more people find this message. Subscribe to Elderly Reflections for more insights, inspiration, and senior health wisdom that helps you age with confidence. Because getting older doesn't mean shrinking. It means refining. And sometimes the most powerful change starts with one quiet decision. To stop eating before you're full, so you can live full instead.